Media fact-checker. 3 deaths in custody in Northern Territory within a week trigger investigations. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A 26-year-old man died at Darwin Correctional Centre on Saturday 7:50 a.m. after being found unresponsive in his cell. Medical assistance was provided, but he was declared deceased at the scene. Guardian, ABC 5. The death at Darwin Correctional Centre is not believed to be suspicious. A 25-year-old man died in police custody in Darwin's northern suburbs on Tuesday after being arrested for assault at Taiwi Gardens Retirement Village and placed in the rear cage of a police vehicle. He experienced laboured breathing, CPR was administered, and he died at Royal Darwin Hospital at 10:10 p.m. Guardian, ABC 4. The 25-year-old man's death is being investigated by the NT Major Crime Unit and Professional Standards Command. Guardian, ABC 4. A 19-year-old man died from a serious stab wound in Katherine on Sunday evening after being found in a vehicle by police. He was pronounced dead at Katherine's Temporary Field Hospital. ABC 2, News Kamau 3. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports the 25-year-old man was arrested for assault at a retirement village in Casuarina, while ABC 4 states the report was 4 damaged window louvers and assault at Taiwi Gardens Retirement Village. ABC 2 states the 19-year-old Katherine victim was pronounced dead soon after arrival at the field hospital, while News Kamau 3 does not specify timing. The Guardian says the 26-year-old man's death is not believed to be suspicious, but ABC 5 does not explicitly state whether it is suspicious or not. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. RBA bans credit debit card surcharges and caps interchange fees in Australia. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The RBA will ban surcharges on credit and debit card payments from October 1, 2026, covering MasterCard, Visa, and EFTPOS cards, not American Express. The ban is expected to save consumers $1.6 billion annually in surcharge fees, according to the RBA and multiple sources. The RBA will lower interchange fee caps from 0.8% to 0.3% for domestic consumer credit cards, and from 0.2% to 0.16% for debit cards. Businesses are estimated to save $910 million annually from reduced interchange fees, per the RBA and at least 2 sources. About 84% of Australian businesses currently do not surcharge card payments, while roughly 1/3 of hospitality businesses do. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian estimates 16% of businesses surcharge card payments, while THEJ and ABC do not specify this exact percentage but mention 84% of businesses do not surcharge. The Guardian suggests a 0.1% price increase for consumers due to businesses absorbing costs, while THEJ and ABC do not quantify this potential increase. ABC's Faye Gao argues the RBA should focus on interchange fees rather than surcharges, but THEJ and SMH emphasize the RBA's multi-pronged approach, including both surcharge bans and fee caps. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. North Korea's cyber espionage and fraud operation targeting Australian firms via fake IT jobs. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. North Korea's regime is using an army of thousands of undercover operatives posing as remote IT workers to infiltrate Western companies, with a focus on Australia. The UN estimates North Korea's annual revenue from this operation is approximately $800 million. ASIO, Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, has identified undercover operatives targeting Australian firms to funnel salaries back to North Korea's weapons program. Major Australian banks, including NAB, have been infiltrated by North Korean agents, with at least one agent discovered and subsequently sacked. The Australian Federal Police's cyber threat teams are assessing intelligence that North Korean agents are already on shore, including a Melbourne University alumnus suspected of acting as a regime intermediary. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the two sources as they contain identical text. This story was covered by Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. NSW government considering banning commissions for strata managers to reduce costs and conflicts of interest. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. NSW Productivity Commissioner Peter Achterstraat's report recommends banning commissions for strata managers, proposing a fee-for-service model instead. The report found that strata commissions can lead to conflicts of interest, poor practice, and inflated costs for apartment owners in NSW. More than 550 submissions were received during the consultation on strata commissions, with many apartment owners expressing concerns about rising costs and lack of transparency. By 2041, apartments are expected to make up nearly half of all homes in Greater Sydney, with around 1 million people currently living in strata apartments across NSW. The NSW government has not yet committed to implementing the recommendations but will carefully consider them, including potential impacts on owners, managers, and the industry. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports that some strata managers argue commissions remunerate them for important and resource-intensive work, while the ABC and SMH focus on the negative impacts of commissions without mentioning this defense. The Guardian mentions a specific case where a strata manager earned $27,000 annually in commissions over 4 years, but the SMH does not provide this exact figure or case study. The ABC emphasizes the potential for increased transparency and competition as primary benefits of banning commissions, while The Guardian and SMH focus more on cost savings and conflict of interest resolution. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and Sydney Morning Herald. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. National Film and Sound Archives 2026 Sounds of Australia Collection Editions. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jack Colson's 1991 arrest speech. Gentlemen, this is democracy manifest. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal was added to the NFSA's Sounds of Australia collection in 2026. The NFSA's Sounds of Australia collection includes 9 audio recordings added in 2026, including Jack Colson's speech, the PB5 pedestrian crossing button sound, and Missy Higgins's 2004 hit Scar. The collection was launched in 2007 and is designed to reflect life in Australia through culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant sounds. Public nominations are considered by a panel of NFSA sound experts for inclusion, with recordings required to be more than 10 years old. The Sounds of Australia collection now contains over 200 recordings as of 2026. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the NFSA assistant curator is Hannah de Fater, while Guardian refers to Megan Loader as the NFSA chief curator. ABC mentions the NFSA's Sounds of Australia collection includes over 200 recordings as of 2026, while Guardian states the NFSA's entire collection has over 300,000 audio items, with 1/3 at risk. ABC describes Joe Dolce's Shut Up Your Face as a comedy song and highlights his career as a poet, performer, and activist, while Guardian does not provide this additional context. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. AFL player Tristan Xerri suspended for blood-wiping incident on Andrew McGrath. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tristan Xerri was suspended for 3 matches after pleading guilty to serious misconduct for wiping blood on Andrew McGrath's face during a match on Saturday, the 26th of October, 2024. The incident occurred during North Melbourne's 12-point win over Essendon at Docklands Stadium on Saturday night, the 26th of October, 2024. Xerri admitted he knew there was blood on his hand before wiping it on McGrath's face and acknowledged it was a brain fade. Xerri apologized to McGrath the following morning, Sunday, and McGrath reportedly took it very well. Tribunal Chair Jeff Gleeson KC described Xerri's act as disgraceful behavior and noted Xerri's hand was close to McGrath's open mouth. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1, ABC, states Xerri was suspended for 3 matches after pleading guilty, while Article 3, ABC, initially reports he was sent to the AFL tribunal on a charge of serious misconduct without specifying the suspension length until later. Article 2, Guardian, mentions Xerri's hand was close to McGrath's open mouth, but Article 1, ABC, does not explicitly state this detail. Article 1, ABC, says Xerri claimed McGrath's teammates called him a weak C-word and effing flopping C-word, but Article 2, Guardian, only mentions weak C-word and effing, flopping C-word without the C prefix. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian fuel crisis impacts from Middle East conflict and price surges. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Petrol prices in Australia reached an average of $2.38 per litre for regular unleaded in the week ending March 20th, up 27% since the war began on February 28th, according to the Australian Institute of Petroleum, AIP. Diesel prices in nearly every Australian capital city passed $3 per litre, with a 38 to 40% increase since the US-Israeli strikes on Iran, ABC and Guardian. The Strait of Hormuz closure due to the Iran-Israel war reduced global oil trade by 20%, contributing to price spikes, ABC and Guardian. Consumer confidence in Australia dropped to 63.1 points in March, the lowest since records began in the 1970s, per ANZ Roy Morgan, ABC. Hundreds of service stations across Australia have run out of fuel due to supply disruptions, ABC and Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Dennis Maddock's fuel costs increased significantly with no federal government guidance, while Guardian's Joyce, tour operator, explicitly blames the Australian government for failing to call out the USA and Israel for their warmongering. ABC cites a 38 to 40% increase in diesel prices since the war, but Guardian's support worker notes 98 octane at $2.55 per litre, no direct percentage comparison provided. ABC highlights a 220% jump in off-road diesel prices for Arnor Corton's olive farm, while Guardian does not mention such extreme percentage increases elsewhere. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Romanian nationals charged for stealing wallets from elderly Queensland shoppers via scam. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 3 Romanian nationals, 2 men aged 49 and 42, 1 woman aged 29, were arrested in 8 Mile Plains on the 28th of March, 2024 for allegedly targeting elderly victims, ages 70 to 94, at Queensland shopping centres. Victims were distracted by claims of dropped wallets while their cards were stolen for fraudulent use at ATMs or grocery payments. The scam occurred in shopping centres across Kenmore, Chermside, Strathpine, North Lakes, Buddina, Caloundra, and Laidley. Police seized approximately $20,000 from a unit complex in 8 Mile Plains during the arrests. The 49-year-old man and 29-year-old woman were charged with multiple counts of fraud and stealing, 5 and 8 counts respectively, and refused bail. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the 49-year-old man was charged with 5 counts of fraud while Newscamau does not specify the exact number of fraud counts for him. ABC mentions the arrests occurred at a unit complex in 8 Mile Plains without specifying the exact date beyond the court appearance, while Newscamau implies the arrests happened on the same day as the court appearance, Saturday. Newscamau does not mention the enter with intent charges included in the ABC article for the 49-year-old man and 29-year-old woman. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US-Israel war with Iran escalation and Trump's threats against Iran's energy infrastructure. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump threatened to obliterate Iran's electric generating plants, oil wells, and Kangaroo Island if a ceasefire deal is not reached by April 6, per Guardian and ABC. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei stated US peace proposals were excessive, unrealistic and irrational, Guardian, and unrealistic, illogical and excessive, ABC, following talks among Pakistan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey's foreign ministers on April 5. Iran has not engaged in direct negotiations with the US, only through intermediaries, Guardian, ABC. Israel and the US launched strikes on Iran's military infrastructure, including Tehran, ABC, Guardian, while Iran retaliated with attacks on Kuwait's water electrical plants and Israel's oil refinery, Guardian. Thousands of US troops, including 2,500 Marines, have arrived in the Middle East, with no decision yet on ground operations in Iran but preparations for potential Kangaroo Island seizure, ABC, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian and ABC both report Trump's April 6 deadline, but Newscomall does not mention this specific date. Guardian states Trump's threat includes possibly all desalinization plants, while ABC omits this detail entirely. Guardian reports Spain closed its airspace to US planes, but ABC and Newscomall do not mention this. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. California sheriffs disputed ballot seizures and voter fraud investigation. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff and Republican gubernatorial candidate, halted an investigation into alleged voter fraud in the Prop 50 election after politically motivated lawsuits and court filings. Bianco seized over 650,000 ballots from the Prop 50 election in December 2023, defying objections from state officials including Rob Bonta and Shirley Weber. The Riverside Election Integrity Team claimed a discrepancy of 45,896 votes between official tallies and handwritten records, while state officials confirmed the actual difference was only 103 votes. Rob Bonta, California's Attorney General, filed a petition with the state Supreme Court on February 2024 to stop Bianco's investigation, calling it an unprecedented constitutional emergency. Bonta's office accused Bianco of obtaining facial insufficient evidence for search warrants and violating directives to pause the investigation. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Bianco halted the inquiry due to politically motivated lawsuits and court filings, while Article 2 frames it as a response to ongoing legal pressure without explicitly naming the trigger. Article 1 attributes the unprecedented constitutional emergency label to the Los Angeles Times, via Bonta's petition, but Article 2 does not reference this specific phrasing. Article 1 does not mention the three-judge panel's denial of Bonta's bid to halt the recount, which Article 2 explicitly reports. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US allows Russian oil tanker to deliver fuel to Cuba amid US blockade. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Russian oil tanker Anatoly Kolodkin is carrying approximately 650,000 to 730,000 barrels of oil, 650,000 per Guardian, 730,000 per ABC, and is en route to Cuba's Matanzas port. The vessel is sanctioned by the US, EU, and UK due to Russia's involvement in the Ukraine war. Cuba has faced a US oil blockade, leading to severe shortages of gasoline and electricity, with blackouts and rationing reported since at least 3 months, Guardian, or years, ABC. The oil shipment could supply Cuba's daily diesel demand for 9 or 10 days, ABC, producing about 180,000 barrels of diesel, ABC. US President Donald Trump stated he has no problem with the Russian tanker delivering oil to Cuba, emphasizing humanitarian relief over geopolitical implications. But not all outlets. ABC states the tanker carries 730,000 barrels of oil, while The Guardian reports 650,000 barrels. ABC claims the oil supply would last Cuba 9 or 10 days without specifying diesel, while The Guardian focuses on the 3-month oil import gap without quantifying the exact duration of relief. ABC mentions Trump's past statements about taking Cuba and regime change, which are not referenced in The Guardian. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Nicolás Maduro's court appearance in New York for narco-terrorism charges and legal funding disputes. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Nicolás Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores appeared in a Manhattan federal court on the 15th of March, 2023 for a narco-terrorism case following their capture by U.S. Special Forces on the 3rd of January, 2023 in Caracas, Venezuela. Maduro and Flores are accused of drug trafficking, narco-terrorism, and related charges including ordering kidnappings, beatings, and murders tied to drug debts or trafficking operations. The U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, initially granted a waiver on the 9th of January, 2023 allowing Venezuela's government to fund Maduro's defense, but reversed it within 3 hours. Maduro and Flores are detained in a Brooklyn detention center and have not requested bail. Their trial date has not yet been set by Judge Alvin Hellerstein. Protesters both for and against Maduro gathered outside the courthouse, with some chanting "Free President Maduro" and others demanding his imprisonment. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Maduro's capture was during a U.S. raid that reportedly killed 100 people, while The Guardian explicitly states the raid reportedly killed 100 people without qualification, though neither source confirms the exact death toll as verified. The Guardian claims OFAC's reversal of the waiver was an administrative error and that prosecutors argued it was highly unusual for a sanctioned government to receive such a waiver, while ABC does not explicitly state OFAC's reasoning beyond calling it a move opposed by prosecutors. ABC describes Maduro as captured by U.S. forces during a raid in Venezuela in January, while The Guardian specifies the operation was a controversial pre-dawn raid during an assault on Caracas, implying a more aggressive or militarized context. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Leigh Ryswyk becomes first openly gay AFL player past or present. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Leigh Ryswyk is the first past or present AFL player to come out as gay. Ryswyk played one AFL match for the Brisbane Lions in 2005 against Fremantle at Subiaco Oval. Ryswyk suffered a quad injury during his 2005 AFL debut and was delisted at the end of the season. Ryswyk played 226 matches for North Adelaide in the SANFL and was later inducted into the Queensland Football Hall of Fame. Ryswyk came out publicly during an interview on Joy 94.9's GayFL radio program in 2024. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between sources for verifiable factual claims. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US Senate and House funding standoff over DHS, excluding ICE funding. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The US Senate passed a DHS funding bill on Friday night, March 29th, that funds most DHS components, TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, but excludes ICE and part of CBP, reported in Articles 1, 2, and 3. TSA staff have worked without pay since mid-February, February 13th, due to the partial government funding lapse, per Articles 1, 2, and 3. The Senate approved the funding package by voice vote in a rare overnight session, per Articles 2 and 3. Donald Trump ordered executive action on March 29 to pay TSA agents immediately via a DHS memorandum, per Articles 1 and 2. House Republicans rejected the Senate's bipartisan DHS funding deal on March 29, passing their own bill that fully funds TSA, ICE, and Border Patrol, per Articles 1 and 3. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the Senate's bipartisan DHS funding bill was rejected by House Republicans on March 29, while Article 2 and 3 report the Senate passed the funding package on March 29, no mention of House rejection. Article 1 claims the Senate's bipartisan bill excluded ICE and Border Patrol funding, but Article 3 states the Senate's bill excluded ICE and *part* of CBP, Customs and Border Protection. Article 1 reports Trump's executive order to pay TSA agents was signed on March 29, while Article 2 states Trump announced the order on March 29 but did not specify the signing date. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Massive Kit Kat chocolate theft disrupts European Easter supply chains. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A truck carrying 413,793 units of Kit Kat's new chocolate range, weighing 12 tons, was stolen in transit in Europe on the 26th of March, 2024. The shipment left a factory in central Italy and was en route to Poland when the theft occurred. Nestlé confirmed the theft to AFP and is investigating with local authorities and supply chain partners. The stolen Kit Kats were part of the Formula One line, designed to resemble race cars, following Kit Kat's 2023 partnership with F1. Nestlé warned stolen bars could enter unofficial markets and can be traced via batch codes on individual bars. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian mentions the stolen truck was pilfered while driving through Europe, while Newscomiu does not specify the exact location of the theft beyond during transit in Europe. The Guardian attributes Nestlé's cargo theft warning to The Athletic, but Newscomiu does not reference this source for the statement. Newscomiu explicitly states the shortage would only impact Europe, while The Guardian does not clarify regional scope beyond the truck's route, Italy to Poland. This story was covered by The Guardian and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's 2026 daylight saving transition dates and regional clock changes. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Daylight saving in Australia ends on Sunday, April 5, 2026, at 3 a.m. local time. Clocks turn back to 2 a.m. States and territories observing daylight saving include New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, the ACT, and Norfolk Island. Queensland, Western Australia, the Northern Territory, Christmas Island, and the Cocos, Keeling, Islands do not observe daylight saving. Daylight saving begins again in participating states on Sunday, October 4, 2026. The clock change affects sleep patterns, nighttime economies, and commuting habits, with reduced activity in restaurants and public transport post-change. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states daylight saving ends on the first Sunday of April every year, but does not explicitly mention this rule in The Guardian or news.com.au articles. News.com.au mentions a 13% drop in nighttime spending and a 15% fall in public transport trips, while ABC and Guardian do not provide specific percentage figures. ABC highlights that search engines may show different dates for daylight saving due to regional variations, but Guardian and news.com.au do not discuss this issue. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian Bishop Anthony Randazzo appointed to Vatican Dicastery for legislative texts. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Archbishop Anthony Randazzo from the Catholic Diocese of Broken Bay has been appointed by Pope Leo XIV as prefect of the Dicastery for legislative texts. Randazzo will remain in Broken Bay for the next 3 months before taking up his role in Rome. Randazzo is 59 years old and was born in Sydney to Italian migrants. He was ordained as a priest in Brisbane in 1991. Randazzo studied canon law at the Pontifical Gregorian University and worked at the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith in Rome. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Randazzo will be the most senior Australian at the Vatican since Cardinal George Pell, but does not specify Pell's exact role beyond late Cardinal. No contradictions in specific dates, names, or roles between sources. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Fungal infection outbreak at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital linked to hospital balcony and construction. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. 6 transplant patients at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital's Ward 9E were diagnosed with aspergillosis mold infection in November-December 2025. 2 patients died directly from the aspergillosis infection, and a third infected patient later died from unrelated multi-organ failure due to sepsis. A hospital balcony near ongoing construction works was identified as the probable source of the fungal spores, with airborne spores linked to construction activities. NSW Health's report found the balcony posed the greatest exposure risk, though no single conclusive cause was determined. The hospital's $900 million redevelopment was underway adjacent to the balcony during the outbreak. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states the third death was due to multi-organ failure due to sepsis associated with a skin condition, while Newscomau does not specify the cause of the third death. ABC mentions the patient in ICU spent 150 days in hospital prior to transplant, but Newscomau does not provide this detail. ABC explicitly names the hospital as Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Camperdown, while Newscomau does not include this location detail. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Queensland Government finalises 2032 Brisbane Olympics rowing venue at Rockhampton's Fitzroy River with international backing. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Rockhampton's Fitzroy River is the sole venue under consideration for Olympic flatwater rowing and canoeing at the 2032 Brisbane Games, with no alternative sites being considered. ABC, Newscomau. The preferred field of play for the Fitzroy River venue is a 2-kilometre competition course with a southern finish line downstream toward the Fitzroy Barrage. ABC, Newscomau. The Queensland Government has allocated the Rockhampton venue within the $7.1 billion funding agreement for Olympic infrastructure. ABC, Newscomau. World Rowing President Jean-Christophe Rowland and International Canoe Federation President Thomas Konietzko publicly backed the Fitzroy River venue. ABC, Newscomau. The Games Independent Infrastructure and Coordination Authority, JICA, is conducting independent technical assessments of the Fitzroy River's suitability, including river flow, water levels, and operational requirements. ABC, Newscomau. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC mentions the Fitzroy River's challenges including flooding, crocodiles, and natural bends, but Newscomau does not explicitly detail these concerns. ABC does not provide a specific cost estimate for river upgrades, while Newscomau explicitly rejects speculation of a $500 million upgrade cost without providing an alternative figure. ABC states the Queensland Government did not confirm whether widening and dredging would be required, while Newscomau claims the preferred field of play will not require dramatic driven changes, implying minimal modifications. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian government's fuel excise cut and national fuel crisis response amid global supply disruptions. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Australian federal government will halve the fuel excise from 52.6 cents per litre to 26.3 cents per litre, effective from Wednesday, reducing fuel costs by 26.3 cents per litre, mentioned in Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The excise cut will be in place for 3 months, until the end of June, Articles 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11. The heavy vehicle road user charge will be temporarily reduced to 0 for 3 months to support truck drivers, Articles 7, 10, 11. The cost of the excise cut and road user charge reduction is estimated at $2.55 billion, Articles 4, 7, 11. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, previously found that a 2022 excise cut was largely passed on to consumers after a 6-week lag, Articles 2, 3. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian, Article 2, states that the ACCC found the excise cut was passed on to retail prices at the vast majority of service stations after 6 weeks, while the ABC, Article 3, reports that the ACCC found it was largely passed on after 6 weeks. The Guardian, Article 2, reports that NSW Premier Chris Minns said rationing would come under Stage 4 of the plan, but the ABC, Article 3, states Minns said emergency measures under Stages 3 and 4 were still under consideration and included recommendations from the International Energy Agency. The Guardian, Article 11, notes that economists have suggested halving the fuel excise is poorly targeted and could increase demand, while the ABC, Article 3, does not provide a direct contradiction but implies the government is cautious about inflationary impacts. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian politician Andrew Hastie criticises US-Iran war strategy and economic fallout impacts on Australia. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Andrew Hastie is a senior Liberal frontbencher and Shadow Minister for Industry and Sovereign Capability. Hastie served as a Special Forces veteran and fought in the Middle East alongside Americans on combat missions. Hastie stated on ABC's *Insiders*, February 2024, that the US-Iran war was a huge miscalculation by Donald Trump. Hastie criticized Trump for failing to consult allies like Australia before the conflict, citing lack of lead time. Iran has continued attacking neighboring Gulf countries and blockading the Strait of Hormuz despite Trump's claims of victory. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau states Trump declared Australia's response to the war was not great and the Albanese government pushed back with claims they did everything asked, but ABC does not mention Trump's direct quote about Australia's response. Newscomau highlights Australia's $1 trillion debt trajectory and specific warnings about bond yields and equity markets, while ABC omits these financial details entirely. Newscomau attributes the claim that Iran has managed to pretty much hold the whole world economy to ransom to Hastie, but ABC frames it as a broader economic critique without direct attribution to Hastie's exact wording. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Analysis of the Mind Diet's impact on dementia prevention and genetic influences on dietary recommendations. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Mind Diet, Mediterranean Diet Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay, emphasizes leafy greens, nuts, berries, olive oil, poultry, fish, and limits red meat, butter, cheese, fried foods, and sweets. A 2024 Lancet Commission report identified 14 modifiable risk factors that could prevent or delay 45% of dementia cases, including high LDL cholesterol, 7% influence, and untreated vision loss, 2%. The Mind Diet is associated with a 15 to 22% reduction in dementia risk, with the strongest effect among Mediterranean-style diets according to pooled observational studies. People adhering most strongly to the Mind Diet retained up to 20% more grey matter over 12 years, corresponding to a 2.5-year delay in brain aging, observational study. The APOE4 gene variant, present in 25% of people, increases dementia risk and is linked to unprocessed meat consumption benefiting cognitive decline in carriers, though processed meats remain harmful. But not all outlets told the same story. SMH and ABC both report the Mind Diet reduces dementia risk, but ABC notes a small trial found no memory improvement after 3 months, while SMH emphasizes long-term structural brain benefits. SMH and ABC agree the Mind Diet is beneficial overall, but ABC highlights whole grains' weak association with brain health, while SMH does not mention this contradiction. SMH and ABC cite the Framingham study's findings, but SMH does not mention the study's demographic biases, e.g., adherents being more likely to be women, non-smokers, or well-educated. This story was covered by ABC News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian TGA proposes sunscreen regulation reforms after SPF testing controversies. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Therapeutic Goods Administration, TGA, proposed sweeping reforms to Australian sunscreen regulations in response to SPF testing inconsistencies, with public consultation open for feedback. Choice tested 20 popular SPF 50 and SPF 50+ sunscreens in June 2023 and found 16 failed to meet their advertised SPF claims, with results ranging from SPF 4 to SPF 43 instead of the labelled SPF 50+. Ultraviolet's Australian sunscreen Lean Screen 50+ tested at SPF 4, while Kohl's SPF 50+ sunscreen UltraTube tested at SPF 43, according to Choice's accredited lab testing. The TGA identified unreliable SPF testing data from certain laboratories and noted manufacturers' lack of understanding about legal obligations regarding SPF claims. Australia has the highest rates of skin cancer and melanoma globally, with around 2,000 people dying annually from these conditions, according to the TGA. But not all outlets told the same story. Newscomau states the TGA found some product owners and manufacturers lacked an understanding about their legal obligations, while ABC's Lawler implies the TGA had been actively enforcing compliance through recalls during the reform drafting process. Newscomau highlights Ultraviolet's Instagram post as an example of a brand boasting about rigorous testing, but ABC does not reference this specific social media post or brand example in its coverage. ABC's Lawler suggests the TGA's investigations into underperforming sunscreens identified by Choice and ABC are ongoing, but Newscomau does not mention ongoing investigations beyond the TGA's response to Choice's report. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Yumbah Aquaculture closes Kangaroo Island abalone farm due to algal bloom impacts. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Yumbah Aquaculture will close its abalone farm on Kangaroo Island by mid-year 2026. The closure results in the loss of 15 permanent jobs on Kangaroo Island. The harmful algal bloom returning in November-December 2025 was cited as the final straw by CEO David Wood. The Kangaroo Island abalone farm has operated for over 30 years and is the longest-running abalone operation in the Southern Hemisphere. Yumbah will provide staff support including short-term retention incentives, redeployment opportunities, and mental health support. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC mentions the algal bloom first appeared in mid-2025 while Newscomau states it began 12 months prior, around mid-2024, without specifying the exact month. ABC does not mention the $250 million economic impact figure cited by Newscomau. ABC does not reference the broader environmental impacts, marine deaths, swimmer illnesses, described by Newscomau. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Paul McCartney's 18th solo album The Boys of Dungeon Lane release and creative direction. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Paul McCartney is 83 years old as of the album announcement. The album title is The Boys of Dungeon Lane, referencing a Liverpool route to Speke Shoreline where McCartney spent his childhood. Andrew Watt is the producer of The Boys of Dungeon Lane, having previously worked with Elton John, Ozzy Osbourne, Iggy Pop, and the Rolling Stones. The lead single is titled Days We Left Behind and debuted on BBC Radio Merseyside. The album is McCartney's most introspective yet, focusing on memories of his Liverpool childhood and early relationships with John Lennon and George Harrison. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 does not mention the album's focus on love songs about Nancy Shevell, while Article 2 explicitly states this as a key theme. Article 1 criticizes McCartney's recent solo albums for including ungainly tracks like Everybody Out There and Slidden, while Article 2 does not mention these critiques. Article 1 does not list the full track list of The Boys of Dungeon Lane, whereas Article 2 provides a detailed 14-track list. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian political polling shows Labor's declining support amid fuel crisis and Middle East war. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese's Labour government primary vote dropped to 31% in Newspoll, down from 36% in November 2023 and 34.6% at the May 2023 election. One Nation's primary vote is at 26% in Newspoll and 29% in Redbridge, both higher than the coalition's 21%, Newspoll, or 17%, Redbridge. 72% of voters disapprove of US military action against Iran, with only 23% approving, reported in both polls. Anthony Albanese's net approval rating is -17, 57% dissatisfied, 39% satisfied, in Newspoll, down from December 2023 levels. Australia has not received a formal request from the US for military support in the Strait of Hormuz despite Trump's criticism. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states One Nation's primary vote slipped slightly to 26%, while Article 2 reports it rose to 29% in Redbridge. Article 1 reports the coalition's primary vote at 21%, but Article 2's Redbridge poll shows it at a record low of 17%. Article 1 does not mention the 61% of voters blaming Trump for the petrol crisis, only the 14% blaming the government, while Article 2 highlights this as a key finding. This story was covered by news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. F1 safety crisis after Oliver Bearman's high-speed crash at Japanese GP. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Oliver Bearman crashed at the Japanese Grand Prix with a 50G impact after evading Franco Colapinto's Alpine at Suzuka. Bearman's closing speed with Colapinto was 50 km per hour, or 50 G-force upon barrier impact, measured at 307 km per hour 191 miles per hour when he left the track. Bearman escaped with only bruising, while his Haas car suffered extensive damage. Colapinto was not seriously affected. The crash occurred near Spoon Curve, turn 13, at Suzuka, where Bearman was using boost mode while Colapinto was recovering energy. FIA confirmed a review of regulations before the Miami Grand Prix in 5 weeks, with meetings scheduled in April. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC states Bearman's impact was measured at 50 G, while The Guardian does not specify the G-force but focuses on the 50 km per hour closing speed. ABC mentions Bearman's speed as 191 miles per hour 307 km per hour when he left the track, while The Guardian states 307 km/h, 191 miles per hour, as his speed before veering off. ABC reports Bearman's crash occurred after Colapinto moved off the racing line, while The Guardian clarifies Colapinto was on a defensive line but did not cut across. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Formula 1 2026 Japanese Grand Prix qualifying and race setup at Suzuka Circuit. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Kimi Antonelli secured pole position for the Japanese Grand Prix with a time of 1 minute and 28.778 seconds, 0.298s faster than teammate George Russell. Mercedes locked out the front row for the third consecutive race with Antonelli, pole, and Russell, second. Oscar Piastri qualified third for McLaren, 0.354s behind Antonelli, reported by ABC twice and Guardian once. Charles Leclerc qualified fourth for Ferrari, while Lando Norris was fifth for McLaren. Max Verstappen failed to qualify for Q3 and started 11th, describing his Red Bull car as undrivable during qualifying. But not all outlets told the same story. Guardian Article 1 states Antonelli was more than 0.3 of a second ahead of Piastri in Q3, while ABC Article 2 states Antonelli was 0.354 seconds ahead of Piastri. 0.354s is roughly 0.3, but the Guardian's phrasing is less precise. Guardian Article 3 lists the top 5 as Leclerc, Russell, Antonelli, Piastri, and Hamilton, while Guardian Article 1 lists the top 5 as Antonelli, Russell, Piastri, Leclerc, and Norris. Order differs. Guardian Article 1 states Norris was 5th, while Guardian Article 3 states Norris qualified 8th, contradictory qualifying positions. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Tottenham Hotspur fires interim manager Igor Tudor amid relegation crisis. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Tottenham Hotspur parted ways with interim manager Igor Tudor after 7 league matches and 44 days in charge. Tudor was hired on February 14, 2024, with a contract until the end of the season. Tottenham lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest on March 22, 2024, marking Tudor's final match in charge. Tottenham sits 1 point above relegation with 7 games remaining in the Premier League season. Tottenham's 50-year streak in the top flight is at risk of ending. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC mentions Tudor's first match was a 4-1 loss to Arsenal, while The Guardian does not specify the score of the first match but lists Arsenal as one of the early losses. ABC lists Harry Redknapp as expressing interest in the role before Tudor's departure, but The Guardian does not mention Redknapp's interest. ABC states Tudor's final match was a 3-0 home loss to Nottingham Forest ahead of the international break, while The Guardian does not specify the timing relative to the break. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Jannik Sinner wins Miami Open title to complete Sunshine Double, defeating Jiri Lehecka in final. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Jannik Sinner won the Miami Open title with a 6-3, 7-6, 4 victory over Alexander Zverev in the semifinals. Sinner then defeated Jiri Lehecka 6-4, 6-4 in the final to complete the Sunshine Double, Indian Wells and Miami Open. Lehecka reached his first Masters 1000 final after defeating Arthur Fils 6-2, 6-2 in the semifinals. Sinner entered the Miami Open with 11,800 ranking points, more than double Alexander Zverev's 5,205 points. Sinner has won his last 7 matches against Alexander Zverev since August 2024, including the last 10 sets. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Sinner won the Miami semi-final against Zverev in straight sets, 6-3, 7-6, while Article 2 does not mention the semi-final score. Article 1 describes the Miami semi-final as a tough match where Zverev held his own and played a good match, while Article 2 focuses solely on the final and Lehecka's dominance. Article 1 notes Sinner's drop shots and slices have been scrutinized since the US Open, but Article 2 does not mention this aspect of his game. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's Matildas facing low-ranked teams in April 2026 FIFA Series ahead of 2027 World Cup. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Matildas will play Malawi, ranked 153, in Nairobi on April 1, 2026, as part of the FIFA Series 2026. If victorious, Australia will face the winner of India, ranked 67, versus Kenya, ranked 134, in the next match. Australia is ranked 15th in the FIFA Women's Rankings, while Malawi, India, and Kenya are ranked 153, 67, and 134 respectively. Football Australia announced the April fixtures on April 1, 2026, just 17 days after the Matildas' 1-0 Asian Cup final loss to Japan. Coach Joe Montemurro stated the team needs more regular, top international competition ahead of the 2027 Women's World Cup. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian calls the April window a calamity and criticizes FA's decision-making, while ABC frames it as a necessary but limited opportunity. The Guardian suggests FA may have to call up fringe players like Kayla Morrison or Leah Davidson, but ABC does not mention this possibility. The Guardian implies the April games are unlikely to provide meaningful competitive value, while ABC states Malawi offers a worthwhile challenge. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Arsenal's 3-1 WSL win over Tottenham featuring Alessia Russo's hat-trick and tactical analysis. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Arsenal defeated Tottenham Hotspur 3-1 in the Women's Super League at the Emirates Stadium on Saturday. Alessia Russo scored a hat-trick for Arsenal, all within the first 27 minutes of the match. Russo's first goal was a header from a Katie McCabe corner at the 11th minute. Russo's second goal came from a run past Liza Kopp and a finish past Kopp at the 13th minute. Frida Marnham headed an own goal for Tottenham at the 29th minute. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states Russo had 10 attempts at goal, 4 on target, while Article 2 does not mention these specific shot statistics. Article 1 mentions Russo's 46th shot of the night deflecting off Bartrip at 45+2 minutes, which is not mentioned in Article 2. Article 1 details Russo's shot at 4 minutes hitting Bartrip and spinning behind for the first corner, which is not mentioned in Article 2. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Iran's control of Strait of Hormuz shipping during US-Israel war and its toll booth system. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The Strait of Hormuz saw a 95% drop in daily traffic, from ~138 ships day pre-war to ~5-6 ships day, since the US-Israel war began on February 28, 2024. Iran has established a safe corridor or toll booth route through its territorial waters between Larak Island and the Iranian mainland, diverting ships from the central shipping lane. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has approved passage for non-hostile vessels, excluding US-Israel-linked ships, and at least 2 vessels have reportedly paid fees, up to $2 million, for transit. More than 20 ships have been attacked or suffered near misses in the region since the conflict began, including the Palau-flagged Skylight tanker. Indian crew killed off Oman on March 1. Iran's crude oil exports averaged 1.6 million barrels per day between March 1 to 23, 2024, despite the war, with Kangaroo Island serving as the primary export hub. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Iran's toll payments were made in Chinese yuan due to sanctions, while ABC does not specify the currency used for the $2 million fee. ABC states Iran's oil exports averaged 1.6 million barrels a day, March 1 to 23, but The Guardian does not provide a specific export volume for this period. The Guardian mentions 100 ships exited the Gulf and 40 entered in March, totaling ~138 ships for the month, matching pre-war daily averages, but ABC's data shows only ~150 ships transited March 1 to 26, implying a lower monthly total. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. 2 men acquitted of raping intoxicated woman picked up while waiting for Uber in Darwin. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Panormitis Charalampis and Michael Vruvis were charged with 4 counts each of sexual intercourse without consent in the Northern Territory Supreme Court. The incident occurred on January 14, 2024, after the woman left Mayberry nightclub in Darwin's CBD at around 3:30 a.m. The woman ordered an Uber but was picked up by Charalampis and Vruvis outside the nightclub and taken to her apartment. CCTV footage shows the woman crawling and falling out of the car, needing assistance to walk, and being carried by the men. The woman's blood alcohol concentration, BAC, was estimated between 0.1 and 0.15 when she reached her apartment block. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the woman's BAC was between 0.1 and 0.15, but Article 2 states it was between 0.2 and 0.1, likely a typo in Article 2, but the range differs. Article 1 reports the woman's memory was punctuated by black spots and she had fragmented memory, while Article 3 describes her memory as patchy and fragmented without mentioning black spots. Article 1 claims the woman passed out or fell asleep in her bed and woke intermittently to being assaulted, but Article 2 does not explicitly mention her waking up during the assault. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia warns Israel against occupying southern Lebanon amid escalating conflict with Hezbollah. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong called Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar on March 12 to 13 to warn against an Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon, stating Australia supports Lebanon's sovereignty. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz announced plans to create a security zone between the Israeli border, Blue Line, and the Litani River in southern Lebanon. Over 1,000 Lebanese civilians have been killed since Israel began striking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, including more than 100 children and 40 medics, Lebanon's health ministry figures. More than 1 million Lebanese civilians have been displaced due to the conflict in southern Lebanon. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong condemned Iranian weaponization of the Strait of Hormuz and its impact on global fuel prices. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC and Newskamau report that over 1,000 Lebanese civilians have died, but The Guardian does not specify the exact number beyond more than 1,000. ABC states that Lebanon's health ministry does not distinguish between civilian and combatant casualties, while Newskamau and Guardian do not clarify this distinction in their reporting. ABC reports that 2 Israeli soldiers and 1 civilian were killed in Lebanon, including one by misfired Israeli artillery, but Newskamau and Guardian do not mention the civilian death from misfired artillery. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Gold Coast Mayor Tom Tate's Mar-a-Lago visit and Trump Tower development ethics controversy. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Gold Coast Mayor Tom Tate received gifts from the Trump Organization during a February 2024 visit to Mar-a-Lago, including meals, accommodation, and airport transfers valued over $500. The Trump Organization's gifts to CR Tate were disclosed in his latest Register of Interests, which requires declarations of gifts valued at $500 or more. Tate met with U.S. President Donald Trump and Eric Trump at Mar-a-Lago between February 12 and February 14, 2024, during a broader overseas trip. The Trump Organization signed a $1.5 billion deal with Australian developer Altus Property Group, CEO David Young, for a Trump-branded tower in Surfers Paradise, Gold Coast, days after Tate's visit. The proposed 91-story Trump Tower in Surfers Paradise would include a 6-star resort hotel, 270 luxury apartments, a retail plaza, and a beach club, and developers claim it will be Australia's tallest building. But not all outlets told the same story. Article 1 states the Trump Organization paid for Tate's flights, while Article 2 notes the exact cost of flights was yet to be revealed and ratepayers paid for them. Article 1 does not mention Tate's attendance at the Day USA trade event in Los Angeles, while Article 2 explicitly states he attended this event during his US trip. Article 1 does not reference Jeffrey Watson SC's legal opinion that Tate must exclude himself from the Trump Tower vote, while Article 2 includes this opinion in detail. This story was covered by ABC News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's February inflation data and rising energy prices amid US-Israel-Iran conflict impact economic policy. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. February headline CPI rose 3.7% year-on-year, down 0.1% from January's 3.8%, ABC, Guardian, news.com.au. Underlying inflation, trimmed mean, remained steady at 3.3% in February, ABC, news.com.au. The Reserve Bank of Australia, RBA, lifted interest rates for the second time in 2026 on March 19, ABC, Guardian, news.com.au. The US-Israel-Iran conflict began on February 28, with energy price spikes not yet reflected in February CPI data, ABC, Guardian, news.com.au. Brent crude oil prices reached $103 per barrel, 148 Australian dollars, in March, pushing Australian petrol prices above $2.40 per litre, news.com.au, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC reports Lucy Ellis saying headline inflation to head up to around 5%, while news.com.au's Bob Cunneen frames 5% as a prospect without explicit prediction. The Guardian claims markets briefly priced in a cash rate of 4.85% before calming down, but ABC and news.com.au do not mention this specific peak. Guardian states December quarter wage rises averaged 3.7%, lowest since mid-2023, contradicting ABC's focus on tight labor market as a primary inflation driver. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. AFL umpire error controversy in Geelong vs Adelaide match where ARC failed to overturn a free kick. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The AFL admitted Geelong was incorrectly awarded a last disposal free kick in the fourth quarter of the match against Adelaide at Cardinia Park on Thursday night, April 11, 2024. Tom Atkins, Geelong, was awarded the free kick after a contest with Zach Taylor, Adelaide, on the wing, but the ball appeared to come off Atkins' boot before he scooped it up and kicked it out of bounds. The AFL Review Centre, ARC, did not have time to intervene before the ball returned into play, leading to the incorrect decision standing. Geelong won the match by 8 points, 9.14, 68, to 9.6, 60, with Jack Martin kicking a crucial goal shortly after the contentious free kick was awarded. Adelaide coach Matthew Nicks refused to blame the umpiring error for the loss, focusing instead on losing contested possession and the Crows' late push. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC does not mention the term stooging used by David King in Thiege to describe Atkins' tactics on the boundary. Thiege includes a detailed breakdown of Adelaide's late-game momentum, 3 unanswered goals, ground ball battle, while ABC focuses more on the umpiring error and its procedural implications. ABC does not reference the historical context of Geelong's 15-0 record when leading at three-quarter time, which Thiege highlights as a factor in the match. This story was covered by ABC News and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australian government underwrites fuel imports amid Middle East tensions and shortages. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Anthony Albanese announced new fuel security powers on Saturday, the 24th of February, 2024, to address soaring diesel and petrol prices and shortages in Australia. The government will use public funds via Export Finance Australia to underwrite the purchase of additional shiploads of fuel, fertiliser, and other essentials to boost supply. Shortages have been reported at hundreds of service stations, particularly in New South Wales and Queensland, with panic buying cited as a contributing factor. The government will introduce amendments to Australia's Export Finance and Insurance Corporation Act on Monday, the 26th of February, 2024, to grant new fuel security powers. Independent distributors and regional fuel suppliers have reported struggling to secure enough supply from major importers, leaving some stations dry. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian does not mention the opposition's call for a fuel excise cut, while ABC reports Angus Taylor's repeated demand to halve the 53% excise tax. The Guardian emphasises the government's focus on regional Australia's shortages, while ABC highlights urban shortages in New South Wales and Queensland without regional specificity. ABC includes a direct quote from Albanese denying panic buying is toilet paper being stockpiled, while The Guardian does not repeat this exact phrasing. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Meta ordered to pay $375 million in New Mexico child exploitation case. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A New Mexico jury ordered Meta to pay $375 million in civil penalties for violating New Mexico's consumer protection laws in a child exploitation case, Guardian, ABC. The lawsuit was brought by New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres's office in December 2023, Guardian, ABC. The trial lasted nearly 7 weeks, Guardian, and the jury deliberated for less than 1 day, Guardian, ABC. Meta plans to appeal the verdict, Guardian, ABC. The lawsuit followed a 2023 Guardian investigation revealing Meta platforms were used for child sex trafficking, Guardian. But not all outlets told the same story. The Guardian reports Meta's penalty as $375 million, while ABC converts it to $538 million, likely due to currency conversion, but both agree on the original $375 million award. The Guardian states the jury ordered the maximum penalty of $5,000 per violation totaling $375 million, while ABC does not specify the per violation amount. The Guardian mentions Meta's shares rose 0.8% after the verdict, but ABC does not provide Meta's stock performance details beyond the conversion note. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. US directs embassies to counter foreign disinformation using X and military psychological ops. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The US State Department issued a cable signed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio on March 29 directing all American embassies and consulates to launch coordinated campaigns against foreign propaganda and disinformation. The cable instructs embassies to work alongside the US military's Psychological Operations Unit, MISO, formerly PSYOP, to counter disinformation. Elon Musk's platform X, formerly Twitter, and its Community Notes feature are explicitly endorsed in the cable as an innovative tool to combat anti-American propaganda without compromising free speech or privacy. The US is targeting disinformation from Iran, Russia, and China, with Iran's state apparatus described as one of the world's most sophisticated disinformation networks. The cable outlines 5 goals: countering hostile messaging, expanding information access, exposing adversary behavior, elevating pro-US local voices, and promoting telling America's story. But not all outlets told the same story. No contradictions found between the 2 Guardian articles as they are nearly identical in factual content. This story was covered by The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Donald Trump criticizes Australia's lack of support in Iran conflict. Albanese defends Australia's role and push for de-escalation. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Donald Trump publicly criticized Australia in a White House cabinet meeting, stating Australia was not great and I was a little surprised by Australia for not assisting in securing the Strait of Hormuz during the Iran conflict, SMH, Thij, ABC. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese responded that Australia was not consulted before the US military action in Iran and denied any refusal to assist, stating there is no request being made to Australia that has not been agreed to, SMH, Thij, ABC. Australia provided advanced medium-range air-to-air missiles to the United Arab Emirates at its request, which Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles confirmed was the only US request Australia had fulfilled, SMH, Thij. Trump extended Iran's deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz until April 6, 2026, pausing energy plant destruction for 10 days, stating talks were going very well, ABC, SMH. Brent crude oil prices rose nearly 6% to $108 per barrel on Thursday, and US petrol prices were poised to exceed $4 per gallon, SMH. But not all outlets told the same story. SMH and ABC report Trump extended Iran's deadline to April 6, 2026, but ABC states Iran did not ask for a 10-day pause on strikes on its energy plants, while SMH implies Iran did not explicitly request it. SMH and Thij state Trump criticized Australia for not assisting in securing the Strait of Hormuz, but ABC reports Albanese stating Australia was not consulted and the US made its own decisions, implying no obligation was placed on Australia. SMH and Thij report Trump called British aircraft carriers toys, but ABC does not mention this specific criticism. This story was covered by ABC News, Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Teenage assault on paramedic after stolen car crash in Melbourne. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. A stolen Mazda 3, stolen from Mulgrave on March 21, collided with a Volkswagen Jetta at Nicholson St and Victoria Parade, Carlton, just before 6 a.m. on Saturday. 4 teenage males were traveling in the stolen Mazda 3, 2 fled the scene immediately after the crash. A 19-year-old man and a 15-year-old boy were injured in the crash and taken to hospital by ambulance. A 66-year-old man and a 76-year-old woman from Terang were in the Volkswagen and taken to hospital as a precaution. The 15-year-old boy assaulted a paramedic during transport to hospital, requiring treatment for their injuries. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau implies the 19-year-old man assaulted the paramedic, while ABC explicitly states it was the 15-year-old boy. ABC mentions 2 teenagers are in police custody without specifying their ages, while News Kamau does not mention custody status. News Kamau refers to the injured teens as a 19-year-old man and a 15-year-old boy, gendered, while ABC uses 2 teenagers without gender specification. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Government bailout secures Queensland aluminium smelters' future with renewable energy transition. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The federal and Queensland state governments agreed a $2 billion deal with Rio Tinto to keep the Boyne aluminium smelter operational until at least 2040. Both governments committed $1 billion each to support the smelter's transition to renewable energy. Rio Tinto's Boyne smelter in Gladstone, Queensland, supports 3,000 jobs, 1,000 direct and 2,000 indirect. The deal includes $7.5 billion in planned renewable energy generation development in the region. Rio Tinto's regional operations head Armando Torres praised the deal as a landmark partnership for securing jobs and decarbonization. But not all outlets told the same story. News Kamau states the smelter supports 3,000 jobs, without specifying direct-indirect, while ABC specifies 1,000 direct and 2,000 indirect. News Kamau mentions ongoing talks with the Tomago smelter in NSW, but ABC does not reference this. This story was covered by ABC News and news.com.au. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. Australia's 6-month ban on Iranian visitor visa holders amid regional conflict. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke announced a 6-month ban on Iranian passport holders with visitor, subclass 600, visas from entering Australia, effective from Thursday the 14th of March, 2024. The ban applies to over 7,000 Iranian nationals who had already been granted visitor visas before the conflict in Iran, as reported by ABC, Guardian, and news.com.au. The legislation allowing temporary visa bans was passed in Parliament on the 14th of March, 2024, with less than 1 hour of debate, as mentioned by ABC and Guardian. The ban excludes Iranian nationals already in Australia, those in transit, spouses dependent children of Australian citizens permanent residents, and parents of Australian children under 18, per ABC, Guardian, and news.com.au. The government claims the ban is to prevent temporary visa holders from overstaying due to the conflict in Iran, with Burke stating decisions about permanent stays should be deliberate decisions of the government, not a random consequence of who had booked a holiday. ABC, Guardian, news.com.au. But not all outlets told the same story. ABC, Article 1, states the ban affects 7,200 Iranian visa holders, while The Guardian, Article 2, reports the number as 7,200 temporary visa holders within Iran, not necessarily all affected by the ban. News.com.au, Article 3, claims the ban was developed in consultation with the Iranian diaspora, but no other source confirms this consultation occurred. ABC, Article 5, suggests the ban may apply to all temporary visas, not just tourist visas, while other sources, e.g., Guardian, focus solely on subclass 600 visas. This story was covered by ABC News, The Guardian, news.com.au, and SBS News. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis. Media Fact Checker. IOC bans transgender women from female Olympic events via SRY gene testing starting 2028. All source articles are linked in the description below. Here's what every outlet agrees on. The IOC announced a ban on transgender women competing in female Olympic events starting the 2028 Los Angeles Games, effective immediately for future Olympics. The new policy mandates a one-time SRY gene test, via saliva, cheek swab, or blood, to determine biological sex for female category eligibility. IOC President Kirsty Coventry stated the decision is based on scientific evidence showing males retain a performance advantage, 10 to 12% in running swimming, 20% plus in throwing jumping, greater than 100% in explosive power events, even after testosterone suppression. New Zealand's Laurel Hubbard was the first openly transgender athlete to compete at the Olympics, Tokyo 2021, in a different gender category to her birth sex. The IOC's 2021 framework on fairness, inclusion, and non-discrimination was reversed by Kirsty Coventry's leadership, scrapping prior guidance allowing transgender women to compete. But not all outlets told the same story. The IOC claims the SRY gene test is unintrusive and highly accurate, but medical experts like Dr. Ada Chung and Professor Paula Gerber call it unreliable and reductive. The Guardian reports the IOC's policy was influenced by US President Donald Trump's anti-trans policies, while ABC and the IOC explicitly state Kirsty Coventry prioritized the issue independently of Trump's actions. The Guardian notes the IOC's 2021 framework was scrapped with no public consultation, whereas ABC and the IOC frame it as a U-turn based on new scientific evidence and athlete surveys. This story was covered by ABC News and The Guardian. Subscribe to Media Fact Checker for daily Australian news analysis.